Hey folks, this is Ben Gessel, just making a quick video here. Um, Before I get to my main topic of video, I'm just going to mention that there's a lot of things that have been happening over the last few months, especially last month. It just some days feel like I'm just trying to keep up with all the things that are happening, and trying not to, uh, well, just trying to do what I gotta do, make a living, save money if possible, but you know, um, um, anyway, again, I'm going to be talking about Encanto, the movie that was, I guess, kind of had Colombia as a setting, that sort of thing. Um, and I'm going to be going into some things pretty deeply here. Um, with regard to the movies in general that are animated, that are, we'll say, less traditional in some respects regarding their plot, that have come out in the last 10-ish years. Um, and also, as a side note, before I get to this stuff, I was just trying to think about ways to help out the Ukrainians right now. And whether it's food or money, I don't think it's possible to send over weapons or ammo. Um, and so I imagine that um, this will be a topic of conversation here in the near future um, for everyone, most everyone. So, Encanto. Well, sometimes when you're seeing a movie like this, sometimes that's good. It was good, by the way, and it touches on certain notes. The deeper that a movie touches on certain feelings that we all have, but some of us have certain feelings that are more sensitive than others at times. Depending on what's happening in our own lives. Right? I mean, Encanto. I guess this is going to probably have some spoilers in it, but just watch at your own risk if you haven't seen the movie. But I'll try not to mention too much about the plot. So, it's not. I'm going to try to minimize spoilers here. But Encanto is kind of really oriented around family relationships. Um, and when I say it's oriented around family relationships, siblings and parents, I mean it really truly is oriented around family relationships. This is like the family movie of 2022 or 2020, early 2022. I mean, this is anybody who's remotely family oriented or loves their family or wants to have a family or whatever um, is probably going to want to see this movie at some point. I mean, most everybody. And I know, it's awesome to see Hispanic culture. In this case, more Colombian culture, but it's very much pan across the board. I'm sure everybody from Mexico to Brazil, and of course worldwide, but especially Latin Americans are going to love this movie. But they're probably going to critique it. There might be a few that are like, "Oh, it's because it's from Colombia. That's why you expect me to like this movie." I'm like, I get it too. There's probably going to be a fair bit of that. People expecting them to like it and all that stuff, right? But no, I think this movie is going to really be a big hit if it hasn't already been a big hit. And it hit a lot of notes that movies like this in the past haven't really done. So what kind of movies am I comparing Encanto to? Well, again, family, right? As what's his name? Doug Walker sometimes talks about family picture. He had Nostalgia Critic, and then he had a different. Um, anyway, It's been a while since I watched Doug Walker, but anyway, um, energetic guy, whatever, funny guy. So I'm looking at movies like Ice Age or funny Happy Feet, Ice Age and Happy Feet, and even go even that arena, and then also Madagascar, which is more along those lines, similar lines, but more especially movies like Frozen. I think there was a movie that involved a black princess, Princess and the Frog. I actually didn't see that one. I don't know. And I think there's Frozen 2. Oh boy. And then there's some live action movies that are similar, also musicals. Snow White and no, not Snow White and the Huntsman. I think there was another. There's Ella Enchanted, and there was another like fairy tale movie that was kind of like that. And then there's others like there's not too, um, but really the core of what I'm looking at here is something either involving Lin-Manuel Miranda or something. So there's the musical Hamilton, and there's Frozen, and there's Encanto. So it's really to compare it more to, because there's some loose comparisons with these other guys I'm talking about, and others that I'm not thinking of at the moment. A whole bunch of animated movies, But then there's um, um, Frozen and Frozen 2, which I've seen at least Frozen 1, Hamilton the musical, and Encanto. Oh, there's Moana too. I didn't see Moana. I know. Anyway, and also Moana, it's great to have some more Polynesian stuff going on there. But the thing is, this movie kind of stands, it just towers over the rest of these kinds of movies in some respects. I mean, at least Frozen. It's it's really good. It's really really good. Um, I thought the music was good. The music was fine, but the story, the themes are amazing. Well, and again, as I mentioned before, it has to do with these family relationships, and it's there are those of us who can't stand our families or can't stand siblings, or we can't stand our parents, or we just don't want to think about that stuff, so we have more bitter feelings about maybe this some of this stuff, these kinds of trains of thought. But the funny thing is, whether it's bitter or whether it's more heartwarming or something else, um, we can all relate to it. This movie, so it has a wide appeal, very wide appeal. Of course, it does. Um, and there are themes like, what do your parents want you to do versus what you want to do, and why am I not the special one? Why does everybody else have these amazing things that these gifts, these things that they're really good at, and why am I the only one that doesn't seem to be the special one? Um, that's huge. That's huge. I can't overstate how huge that theme is. Um, that's got. I mean, it's always a question of how much as an adult. Maybe you're not quite as moved as you are with compared to like other kids and things or teens. Even you've seen a lot more in life. You've experienced a lot more in life. Um, you just, yeah, but it will tug at your heartstrings on some level. I can almost guarantee that. But a lot of people are gonna. It's just more adults. Like you're gonna think, is it another Frozen? It's just stupid movie about pretty princesses dancing and or whatever, or the cutesy faces, or is it gonna be another feminine oriented, just feel good thing? No, it's not. It has the funny expressions. It has the sudden funny expressions and the funny sayings. just like some of these other movies, but it really is fun. It doesn't feel contrived. It doesn't feel like they're, it just feels very organic. It feels like, a real conversation that real people have. It's not too funny. Anyway, um, yeah, so it doesn't feel too contrived. And um, I just think it's really great. Is it the best movie? No, it's not the best movie I've ever seen. No, 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 no. I have some other thoughts that are harder to articulate. They go back to Frozen and Hamilton that were still kind of present with Encanto, however. And it has something to do with just how my own values match up with these movies. I've always hated, I should say, I've hated um, intensely dating games and being confused about women, what they think about me. I've hated that in my life. If there's anything you guys should know about me that regarding what I hate, it is this subject. And I cannot overstate that. So even if Frozen is talking about these little love triangles at some level, at least Frozen 2 or something like that, I hated that. I hated it. I just hated it with a passion. I don't know why. I just, there's so many movies that this applies to. And they're hard to watch for me. They're emotional. For me, romance, dating, has always been a more serious matter rather than something humorous. And if you see a kiddish movie, you're not really wanting to see something super emotional or romantic or whatever. But it was really more, it's kind of like I can understand why girls would like Frozen a lot. Girls want to be women at some point. At the same time, they don't. Same thing, boys want to be men, but not at the same time, not really. You have to think about it. But it's kind of like it's the emotional side of it. So the whole arena of life is very emotional if you take it seriously. If you're trying to block it out, you're not taking it very seriously, or you just this is just dumb little crush stuff. Well, okay, it's maybe just a more annoying kind of thing about Frozen, that whole thing. Hamilton, I never saw. I'm sure it had a great deal more to it that involved romance, as far as I remember, as far as the lyrics went. And the only way I know about this musical really is more from a piano student that had to pass that really liked the musical. But apparently, it stirred up a lot of racial feelings among some folks because apparently I didn't even know this as well because I never saw it. But apparently, it was all black cast or an all minority cast or something. I don't know. That's great. That's awesome. Kind of like Black Panther. I don't know, but it's kind of like race does not affect me in an emotional level in some respects as much as romance. Because I mean, when I see movies like Mississippi Burning or the movie series Roots or something, or it could be other things that or have a racial conflict kind of theme. They can be extremely emotional. I mean, the Schindler's List, crying out loud. Sure, they're very, very emotional, but they're easier for me to watch in a way than movies that are romantic because that theme has been harder for me in life in some level, and I'm more sensitive about that subject. I guess you could say I'm not as sensitive about racial topics. I am more sensitive, however, about feelings about the opposite sex. I treat women with respect, but it's just tough goings in this life. In some respects, with Asperger's, and so it's just a more sensitive topic. So I kind of brushed off the Frozen thing as it's just kid stuff, but on some level, even in my deepest, most remote corner of my heart, I was like, there's still a part of this that was not as fun for me to watch, even if it was just kiddish stuff. And I'm sure Hamilton is even more emotional in some respects in that regard. But anyway, so this Encanto movie, right? Well, um, it had romance, but it was very understated. It was not a central theme in the movie, but it was a secondary theme. I've never said romance, by the way, is a bad thing. For me, it's just more emotional. If I take it seriously, if I'm really invested in that aspect of a movie or the movie itself in general, if I really care about the characters. And if you don't care about the characters, what are you watching the movie for? Well, yeah, but it's a huge part of a movie, depending on the theme of a movie. Maybe some movies are more about the landscapes or ideas or something. I don't know. Sure, but um, anyway, so just in summary, this is worth watching, but it can kind of. I mentioned this Lin-Manuel. I'm sorry, I skipped a few thoughts. I was going to say. Um, I understand that Lin-Manuel. Yeah, why can't I say his name? Lin-Manuel Miranda. He's very clever, and he's like M. Night Shyamalan in trying to explore certain ideas and themes and story arcs and plots that really haven't been done yet in a way, and the unconventional thing. And my hats off to him. My hats off to anybody who puts out something more unconventional because it's unconventional. Whether it works or not, no one knows. Um, but there's a side to that unconventionality with both gentlemen, with M. Night Shyamalan and I'll just say Miranda, Lin-Manuel Miranda. I know the surname Miranda, I think, is from Colombia, but for both gentlemen, the great thing is that they're both good guys. These are both guys that I actually do respect. As far as I know, understand what the kind of people they are. It makes it so much easier to watch a movie when you actually like the person that made the movie. Um, yeah, in a way, you trust their, you know, mind and heart and stuff. The only thing about this unconventional thing is that it is because it's unconventional. Um, you're not going to have the big bad. You're not going to have Satan. You're not going to have this dramatic conflict between good and evil in a way, because these are very they will always exist in countless movies and stories and things. It's never that is the theme of themes, right? This is what we're all battling good and evil. We're all battling evil. We're all involved in the battle between good and evil. There's no getting away from it. And so we write stories about it, we create movies about it, because this is life, on some level, whether or not we acknowledge good and evil do exist. And so it's like, but it's great when you get away from that on some level. And every theme can kind of connect with that good versus evil thing. And when it comes to family relationships, the evil is when we just hate our family, or we hate. It's not evil to feel that way necessarily, but it's evil for that situation to be the case, or it's not good. But it's also it's complex. It varies from person to person, of course. Sure. Ideally, a good thing would be to be part of a family that we love. That's a good thing. It's not so good when we're by ourselves, unless we want to be by ourselves for a long period of time in life or whatever, you know. But it's family is good. They can be annoying. They can be vexing. They can be all kinds of things. But um, I think one of the messages of the movie is that We need family. Um, they need us, kind of thing. Anyway, that was very clear to me, of course. So this is why it's going to go over big with people in my faith, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, of course, and many other religious folks as well, but for people in general anyway, whether religious or not. Again, if they value family values, family in general. But yeah, there's no dragons, there's no demons, there's no big bad, like I say. Also, also, uh, hints about women being very strong. There's a character that was a girl, teenager, maybe, I don't know, maybe a young woman, who was very strong. Her superpower was that she was very strong. And there are things like, well, it's just that was really the main thing that cropped up. But when you see things in a movie that suggest feminism, right, or suggest something other than the values of, say, what was in Grimm's fairy tales in traditional Europe or something, or so, if we're talking about conventional things that we would expect in a fantasy type adventure movie with involving magic, let's say we're looking at Europe, Grimm's fairy tales, it would be more conservative, older school. There's other fairy tales from Russia, I've read it, but or whatever. This is a more modern thing to have women that have superpowers like strength, comparatively, right? But so the great thing was this, though, is that I didn't feel like all those little things that could be less conservative were dominating the movie. They certainly were not. I felt increasingly like what, even though it was animated, the characters that they were showing on, in the movie were a lot like people I knew in real life, and the nicer sorts too. The nicer sorts. I actually wanted to go to Latin America and meet some people, and I don't know, date or, I felt a bit more of a connection in a way with Latin American countries, and I almost I need to get down there. I just need to, something. I had those feelings. It was, and I'm like, this is an animated movie. Wow, not even involving real people. I mean, you could say Nacho Libre was essentially comedy, and I remember how popular that was, some time ago. And you could say, well, but it's a comedy. It's not really romantic. But I don't know. Then there's movies like La Bamba, and there's I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, there's other movies involving Hispanic folks, and I've seen a lot of them. I just, um, I guess, would Scarface qualify as Hispanic? It's Cuban, but that's different. That's that's like Al Pacino, not mafia, but anyway, I mean, how many there are movies that make you want to go to places. This movie kind of did that a little bit, even if it was animated. And I liked how the grandma, was very motherly. I understood her, and the sister, everybody, and Bruno, and I just loved it, and I did sense that there are some quirky things that are less traditional about it, but it didn't overpower the movie. Frozen was criticized because just like Encanto, because there was no big bad. But Frozen's problem was that we asked the question, what is this about? Now, I've written some stories, and a lot of my ideas seem to be more about colors and beautiful landscapes, or varied landscapes, I guess you'd say, varied locations, and how I would feel if I was in those places, or, but they suggest things to me that are very deep, on a very deep level. You guys probably understand this about me and my own imagination with video games and stories and things, and considering making a musical and things like that. But kind of in the initial stages. But it's kind of like, but I'm trying. What I'm not strong in with my own stories and things, and creative stuff is character building, character creation. or at least I'm realizing that I'm not especially weak, but it's not something that is my forte. I don't enjoy um, many things involving um, the complexities involving people. At the same time, I do, but in another way, I don't. Um, there's a lot of evil, not just evil, there's a lot of human frailties that I wonder if I tolerate too much. There's a lot of human quirks that we just learn to live with about other people that, and it's like it's not a problem for me. I really, I've always been that way, but it's not a problem for me for the most part. It's just there's some things I'd rather not dwell on regarding some aspects of human character. When you're creating characters, you kind of need to go there. The deeper you think about these things, about different kinds of people, different kinds of characters, the more that you maybe don't want to think about those things. I mean, if you really are creating these very believable characters that are flawed or whatever, it's not pleasant for me. It's not pleasant to think about someone's sexuality. It's a character, it's a fictional character. Um, I mean, if you're talking about, all these different behaviors, it's no. And I don't. I'm not talking about the LGBTQ thing so much. I'm just talking about, I don't want to create a bunch of characters that are lustful all the time. And then you ask the question, are most people lustful all the time? It's that kind of stuff. Like, no, I think a lot of people try to, not be that way, but, you know, and then like how angry everybody is or how, uh, when you're creating these characters, it's easy to get kind of weighed down by the um, villainy of it all, the human condition. So I don't want to get lost in all that. I love how Alice in Wonderland is so um, free from that, just involving a child's imagination. There's a beauty in that I just love. You can make things more adulty. I just don't, you know. Anyway, there's something else I was getting back to you about all this. It was, I guess it would be on some level, the whole business of characters in movies and stories and things. And I just really enjoy it when I discover a character that I really can connect to. Either I know someone like that in real life, kind of like that, I like them, or I'm like neutral about them, or it makes it very memorable to me. I love that stuff. When you come across a less desirable character, or a character you don't like as much, I don't mind reading about it so long as um, I don't feel like I'm kind of being um, in the mud, so to speak, morally. The author doesn't drag me into the mud. It's good. It's a good way of putting it. Anyway, this video has gone on long enough. It's probably one of my better ones recently. I know I haven't put out a lot of videos for a while. I know they're kind of coming in fewer number. Um, but I'm very busy with life and things are going well. And hopefully you guys like this video. I'll catch you guys later. Take care. Bye.